Hello and welcome to Modern Self-Protection in 5 Minute Friday. I'm Ben Branam and I'm the host, and I'm going to get on and talk about this just to talk about and a reminder of being able to spot violence coming and being able to spot the signs of violence. So I was driving back from doing errands for my real job and work, and there's a couple that was walking down the street arguing, and you could tell they were arguing, but it was getting worse and worse and worse, and I could tell just by the 2 minutes that I saw them at the light and driving by that this could be a problem. And I recognized a bunch of them, so I recognized the couple as two that sit around and they beg a lot on the corner right there, and so they're kind of a homeless couple or a fake homeless couple, I'm not sure, but either way, you know, they're kind of in the high violence category, and I'm sure that their rates of domestic violence are pretty high. But what I was really going to talk about is, do you recognize stuff like that and that violence is going to happen around you or not? So seeing them do it, I could see that they're arguing, and then they're getting worse because she's trying to walk away. He's screaming at her. He's getting in her face, getting, overly close to her. And then he's waving his arms, really giant motions above his head, and you can tell he's screaming at her 2 inches from her face. And she's just putting up her hands to protect herself already. She's trying to get space between him and her, but the big takeaway is she's putting up her hands in front of her face to protect herself. So she has that already click in that there's a violence about to happen, and then she's trying to get away. And she just keeps walking away, and she's screaming at him too, so I'm sure that's not helping. But then he keeps following her around, and I can see this playing out. So I called the police, called 911. Yes, you can call 911 for stuff like that. The cops will go out there, especially in a small town like I live in, north of San Antonio, where there is some violence, but not a lot. So I called them, and I stopped to get my favorite Monster energy drink, and then I was coming out of the little stop and rob, and then they were walking in. They seemed a little bit less upset and ready to do violence, but I'm still looking at him going, he's still agitated. And what I could really see when I walked out, and I was getting in the truck, and I was already had the truck started and was running when I saw him walk in, so I couldn't hear anything they were saying. They were still talking, they still look agitated, but I could still see that there was a problem because she still had that get away, trying to make more space, and she's walking faster than it's normal, and he has the adrenaline dump still of that fight or flight reflex. His fists are clenched, his forearms are clenched, he's walking kind of stiff-legged a little bit, more Frankenstein than normal walk, and his head's down a little bit, and he's leaning forward into this whole thing. So he still looks like he's prepared to do violence. So can you recognize those symbols around you? Do you look for that? Are you prepared for that? Do you recognize normal? Do you recognize that, hey, that's the couple that normally is begging for food or money or water on the corner, and now they're over here, and is that a problem? Is it not? Am I saying that they're going to do violence upon you? No. Is he going to do violence on her? Maybe, and that would suck if I saw that, didn't say anything, and then tomorrow I read in the newspaper that they find her body or something. So yeah, I called 911. I'm not going to get involved in a domestic dispute, and I suggest you don't either, in any way, form, shape, or how, unless you're a police officer and you're there you can do the backup thing and separate them, and then even then, lots of officers get hurt when it's 2-on-2. If it's 2-on-1, you're cruising for a bruising, and definitely you do not want to be part of a domestic violence situation. What can I say? Don't get involved. But I will get involved to the point where I call 911 and see if I can get them help. And I know that sounds bad, but you know what? Like I said, if it goes really, really bad and she ends up really, really hurt or dead, when I could have called 911 and had a police officer come out there, it's his job. Don't worry. Yes, he's annoyed that he has to go out to just a domestic violence. He's looking for the robbery and stuff, and, the hero saves the day stuff. But, he'd much rather go out, talk to these people, and be able to calm down the situation, and maybe take him to jail, maybe not take her to jail, then have to do the death investigation later, or pick her up from the hospital when she's been beaten half to death. So it really is a win-win if you call 911 and you can help somebody out. But did you recognize that symbol? Would you recognize that? If you were there, would you have recognized those signs of violence? would you have done anything, or would you have cared, or would you have thought, hey, I don't want to be involved? Even if you thought, hey, I don't want to be involved, then make sure you lock your doors and you're not around, and then you noticed, hey, I stopped at the local stop and rob, and then I'm walking out and they're walking in, is that a problem too? And I called 911 back and told them where they were, and so the police could find them. But, you know, knowing those symbols and watching out for it, hey, that's a great thing, because you'll know more of what happens around you, and then you can keep yourself safe. So remember to look for those signs of violence. If you don't understand what they are, you don't understand what I'm talking about, you need to study a little bit more. This should just be a reminder. Go out, keep learning, keep vigilant, and keep yourself safe.